Hello YouTube, it's William. I'm just now getting over a serious sinus infection, so please bear with me. Been fighting this thing for about a week now, but it's we got it on the downhill pull and we're coming out on the other side now. So anyway, that's the reason. If I sound funny, that's why. Welcome to another video. I was tagged by Donnie Pavellini of Donnie Pavellini Outdoors. Great little YouTube channel. If you haven't seen his channel, please go. I will put a link in the description below of his video of where he tagged, and it'll give you his thoughts on this this tag, and just a great channel. You need to go visit him, support him. Subscribe, do the likes, do the whole 9 yards. Support the young man. He deserves it. I say young man, he's probably my age, but anyway. And also Homer Mayo, who did a video of this as well that I watched. He's a good friend of mine. Actually met him at the VU too, him and Donnie both, and we quickly would become friends. They're just like kindred spirits, you know. They're like brothers. And so Homer Mayo started a YouTube channel as well since then. He's got a few videos, 2 or 3 up, doing a great job. Tremendous cook. I can vouch for that. I mean, the guy can cook. I have samples on his cooking at the VU too, and hey, he walks the walk. So anyway, I will put a link to his video below as well on this subject, and so you can go check him out, support him, subscribe if it's something that you like. If you like my channel, you like his channel. He's got a lot of knowledge that can be shared over the next lifetime, I guess. But anyway, so check him out. So this video is a tag, like I said, by Donnie. And it's a bushcraft knife. My thoughts on a bushcraft knife versus a survival knife. What's the differences and my opinions on it. Now, I have done many videos on survival knives and my thoughts and all this other stuff, but I never really compared a bushcraft knife versus a survival knife, or trying to choose between the two, or vice versa. So first of all, let's talk about labels. And if you watched any of my videos, I do not like labels on knives. Being a knife maker, I think that labels are placed there to sell things. They don't mean that that's what the knife does, okay? Because I've seen a lot of knives labeled as survival knives. It's not a survival knife. And we'll get into survival and my thoughts on survival, but I've seen knives labeled as bushcraft knives that probably should never see a bush in its life. Okay, so when you start hearing this bushcraft knife thing, survival knife, and just kind of take it with a grain of salt, because the knife is what you need it to be. My suggestion is take the knife and use it, and use it, and use it, and use it some more until you learn the knife. Know what the knife is capable of, know what it's not capable of. Throughout history, there has never been a knife that does everything. Even our forefathers, they had a belt knife, they had a folding knife for carving tasks, they had axes, they had saws, they had all this other stuff to use. They did not have one knife on their hip. So that's all a fable. It's to sell you something, okay? So and get off my soapbox for a minute. When we talk about bushcraft, bushcraft is a relatively new term. If we go back into the 1900s of the United States, most of what is considered bushcraft, and I think bushcraft is a small portion of what we encompass as woodcraft, or woodsman skills. If you watch what people consider a bushcraft and what is bushcraft, today, by today's standards, then bushcraft is basically going into a campsite that is regulated and got in a national forest that's relatively small, and you're not going to be that far from anybody, maybe even your backyard, which is it's not a that's not a problem. That's okay. But you're going into a controlled environment, and you're going to set up a camp, a hammock or some sort of other camp, and you're going to sit there and build a fire. You're going to process some wood, some small wood. You usually have a saw with you, a folding Baco saw or a silky saw or something of that fact. You may have a small hatchet with you. But basically what you want your belt knife to do is do small carving tasks. You're going to whittle on a stick, okay? You're going to make a spoon, you're going to make a kuska or a cup, you're going to make tent pegs, you're going to whittle pot hangers, small tasks like that. That is typically what is known or referred to as a bushcraft knife. You're crafting things from the bush to make your camp life better. Okay, so that is typically, and I'm going to show you my knives because that's basically what I use, so that's what I'm going to show you. This is considered basically what is considered a bushcraft knife. Scandy grind, 4-inch blade, has a curved belly that gets in there, and it does those fine feather sticks and things like that for firecraft, and 90-degree spine, full tang construction in most cases. Now, of course, I mean, you get into the Moors, they're not full tang, but they're great knives, okay? So, but that is what is basically considered as a bushcraft knife, and with today's standards, I would agree with that. That is a great little knife to just get out in the backyard or in a controlled environment, whittle on a stick, do a little camping, and just live the good life. That is all you need with an axe or a little small hatchet and a folding saw. Okay? That is what I would consider a bushcraft knife. Now, when you really get into my pet peeves, when you start talking about survival, because I think survival is way overemphasized. And Joe and I was talking about this on a social media the other day, and we got into the survival thing, and he made a statement that I completely agree with. He says, really, in today's world, how many times are you going to even be in a survival situation? Which is true, because if you think about it, I go in the backcountry quite a bit, but really, in any direction within 3 to 5 miles, I can reach civilization. So, really, am I ever in a survival situation? No. Unless I'm injured or something like that. And in that case, I had better had proper planning. I'd better have told somebody reliable where I was going to be and how soon I would be back. If that's the case, then I would not be in a survival situation. I'd be in a discomfortable situation, not survival. Survival means that if you don't change your situation immediately, you're going to die. So how many times are we actually in that situation? I'd say very seldom, if any. Now, there are exceptions. I mean, Alaska and some places in the Rocky Mountains and things like that. But again, if you told somebody reliable where you was going to be and you stayed in that area, then you're really not going to be in a survival situation that long to be a survival situation. You're not going to be in a discomfortable position that long to be a survival. So, I think we use the term survival too often. Now, unless you're a soldier, and so survival, the term survival may be a totally different scenario for you. It may mean a totally different knife for you. Then you get into the tactical aspect of surviving, and then what we typically in this bushcraft or woodscraft community consider a survival knife, or what is sold as a survival knife. So Well, I tell you what, the little yellow jackets around here are just getting awesome. Awful. I'm going to get rid of this yellow jacket for a minute. Okay. But with that said, there is survival knives that has lasted throughout thousands of years, that has proven itself over and over to be the ultimate survival tool. And here it is. A flint, piece of flint or chert. Our ancestors has used this to survive for thousands of years. It is the only true proven cutting tool that has worked. Okay? So that just kind of blows the myth of survival knives out of the water, right? I think it does. If you look at the next step from this, and this is from Timothy Osborne, does fantastic work. Hope you can see this. That is what it graduated to. It was gifted to me by Timothy Osborne. Fantastic knife. Also, Ted Hilden gifted me another one. Just fantastic work these guys do, and so anyway, I wanted to show that since I was talking about flint knives. And so that is the only things that has lasted longer than steel. It has proven itself. It works. But then when you get into the steel portions of it, and knives and steel and things like that from what today's era is, and you start talking about survival, then again it goes back to what kind of environment are you in? The people in the jungles, their survival knife is the same as their bushcraft knife. They do everything with one knife. They'll take something like this, Trail Sweep 2, and they'll create everything they need out of the bush with this. They'll do all their bushcrafting and their wood processing, their chopping, they're building their shelters, they're doing everything with a machete or a parang. To them, that is a survival knife. And in certain places in the United States, in dense thickets in East Texas and swamps in southern United States, that is something that you would need to bust brush to get out of, and maybe that is what you consider a survival knife. Okay? Or something like this stranded Woodsman. Something that's large, that is thick, that is heavy, that would handle some chopping chores. Maybe you'd have to, in order to survive a few nights of inclement weather before you can get rescued, you have to build a shelter. Maybe you lost all your gear. Aliens came down and stole your gear. Okay, you're going to have to, the only thing you have is what's on your belt. So you have to take this and you have to build a shelter to survive a snowstorm. Then you're going to need something that's heavy duty to do that with. Okay, that would be a survival knife. Now something in between a bushcraft knife and a survival knife is this Master Woodsman. It has the thin, narrow point that's Scandi to do your light carving and things like that. And it also has a longer blade, a 6-inch blade, total to do some of your game prep and some of your shelter building and things like that. And actually you can bust brush with this given the right technique. Okay? Now does that mean that in order to survive you have to have a large knife, 6-inch blade or larger? Not really. In the right hands, this knife right here, you can survive very well if you knew how to use it. Morris Kohansky has proven and shown on videos many times over, as was others, that you could take this knife and you could split 4 or 5-inch logs with it. All you gotta do is whittle some wedges and work the knife. Is it the ideal knife for that? No. but it will get the job done. Again, our ancestors have survived on this for thousands of years. Now, I've heard it also said that the survival knife is the knife that you have with you. Well, that is true. But with the right selections and according to your environment, I hope you make the right choice to take the right knife with you. Because in a lot of brushy areas, this is what I would prefer to have with me. Now, I would prefer to have this, and only this, than this. I can make this shorter. I can make this a small knife. I can get down on the tip and I can work this as a small knife. I can't make this knife bigger. That's as big as it's going to get. But this one will get smaller. Hope that makes sense. So, given your environment, you have to choose which knife works best for you. Me personally, I live in the south. I live in thickets where the brush gets very dense, and if I ever had to hike out, then I know that I would need something that's going to bust some brush, because I'm going to have to go through some thickets to get out. So I would prefer something that I can hack through brush with, clear trails to get out. To me, that would be a 6-inch plus knife. I don't want anything in my belt less than 6 inches. Blade length. Now this, to me, is a great little companion knife to keep in the pack. So if I want to do some whittling and things like that, then I have a smaller knife that I can do things like that. But on my belt that I use constantly, I want something as this is the smallest knife I want. Again, I can do fine carving with this knife because I can always make the knife smaller. Okay, I can't make this knife larger. Alright, so to sum it all up, typically, my opinion of bushcraft versus survival. Survival knives are typically longer, they're larger, they're heavier duty, they're heavier use than a bushcraft knife, which is typically smaller for smaller hand carving and light carving task. Okay, it doesn't have to be a Scandi, it could be a full flat, it could be a saber, it could be a lot of things. The key is to take the knife that you choose, get out in the woods, get out in the bush if you will, and use it. Learn the knife, understand the knife, watch videos, watch other people use knives, learn from them, let's see their mistakes, improve on their skills. So I hope I got across what my thoughts are and hope you understood what I was trying to get across. Don't believe the hype, folks. There's large knives and there's small knives. All knives will do some tasks well, and they won't do all tasks well. So you need to pick and choose something that works in your environment with your skill level and improve your skill level. And have fun with it. Don't get bogged down in all the hype about bushcraft, woodscraft, survival. All that. That's just selling terms. Get a knife that you like the design of it, you trust the person that is talking about the design, and you try it. That's the only way you're going to know. So until the next one, you guys get out in the backyard, go whittle on a stick, go camping, take a bunch of knives with you, play with them. If you do, take plenty of band-aids and lots of knives. See, that's lots of knives again. We'll catch you again soon.